And then we've got the magazine. And then for some reason, it said on top of all the other stuff we do, website design and everything, I should probably have a podcast because I love to talk. And this is the best way to market myself and my companies and also meet cool
Yeah.
people. So that's why we're here.
Perfect. Yeah, well, you picked the right you picked the right guy to talk to because I like to talk as well. I have my own podcast, In the Trenches,
Yeah.
as well as I like to listen too. So being a podcast host and then doing a bunch of podcasts, I mean, I think that's kind of the whole appeal of it so much with the comedians that kind of started. I will always give the comedians, that are around a lot of credit for starting this sort of ecosystem of podcasts. And they were just friends talking to each
Mm,
other. And basically that, would always guest on each other's. So I thought when I started my podcast that I'd do the same sort of thing with fellow musicians. So
mhm.
we've been doing a lot of episodes with my own podcast, but it has that, I've been pretty busy the last year, so we didn't get as many episodes in as I like. But myself, I also started that in the dark times of COVID. So, but it was a lot of inspiration that came out of COVID. A lot of good things. My guitar teaching course that I've never been able to do until I had the time to do it was
Mm,
put out during that time, the System 12 guitar method, as well as the podcast. And I'm one of the lucky ones that was able to go out and tour again after it. A lot of, it took a big hit on a lot of bands.
yeah.
And luckily I play with a guy it's an iconic household name that loves to work. So we're able to go back out there. And that's what I'm doing right now these days. I'm rehearsing for the new tour. Um, Two different shows this year with Alice Cooper, and plus I'm
Mhm.
releasing my own music. So yeah, it sounds that what you told me, it sounds like you're surviving in the world, and that's what it takes. It takes a lot of drive, motivation, but always following through with your ideas. And that's
100%.
that's kind of what my sort of mantra is to not only my listeners and my podcast, but to my own kids and to my wife. And I just say, if you have a good idea, it's only a good idea un until you make it a reality. It's
Right.
it's 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 only an idea until it becomes reality, and that action plan is what has to happen. So I've been very lucky in that sense to be able to have some time to do the things that I like to do and tour with the people I like to tour with as well.
Yeah, I appreciate that, and I love that you said humbly that you're lucky that you work, with that man and, that he's so hardworking, but I'm assuming that he's also the type of a person that surrounds himself with other hardworking people, much like you are.
Well, this band has been together, this lineup has been together longer than the original OGs, and we owe everything to the original Alice Cooper band for writing those classic, iconic riffs and hits that allow us to still tour today. But there's something to be said about the cohesiveness of this lineup that's been together now for over 10 years as a
Mm,
unit. So I came back in 2012. I had moved to Sweden and had a couple of years off where I was watching my kids grow up and kind of staying more locally based around Northern Europe. And when I came back in 2012, I really said, look, I don't know how long this will go on for, even if it's just 1 or 2 years. I'm lucky I was able to get back into this level of touring with Alice. And every year since then has been a gift as far as like we're doing something that I get to either check off my bucket list or something that I never thought would even happen, So this year is no different. We actually have a new show lined up with the illusionist Chris Angel. So Alice Cooper and
mm,
Chris Angel are combining their superpowers, and it's the first time I think it's been done where you know, big scale illusions are going to be combined with a rock and roll show. So it's either going to be complete chaos or it's going to be one of the coolest things you've ever seen. And sometimes chaos can be the coolest thing you've ever seen.
Absolutely. I mean, it sounds cool, and Chris Angel, I've seen his show once. It's a good show, so I'm assuming
I've
that
never
it's
seen his
gonna
show. That isn't that funny? I never the only time I saw any illusions happen was when we were filming the, teaser for it that's out there now, and I have not seen his show yet, so this'll be kinda new and exciting for me as well.
good for you. You mentioned there again, humbly, like, I'm so lucky and I've been playing with Alice for a while. It's actually 30 years almost, and you also have co-writes on, like, several tracks, including, Eyes of Alice, Dirty Diamonds, and I think the
Yeah.
newest one, if I'm not
The
mistaken.
newest album called Road, yeah, we
So you're
wrote a
not
couple
just a
songs together on that.
guitarist.
Well, I mean, I don't think any guitar players is just a guitar player. I mean, most of us, to be honest with you, are a little bit of frustrated singers. And the only reason why we end up singing our own songs is because, we can't take the psychosis of a lead singer. But luckily in our case with Alice, he's already been through his crazy, crazy days. And we get a much, you know, a mentally stable and very focused Alice Cooper each and every night. But yeah, I think most guitar players, drummers, I found too, are better guitar players than a lot of guitar players, and they're great songwriters. So musicians are musicians. But yeah, we're lucky to have a front man as iconic as Alice. So yeah, I mean, I might use
Absolutely.
that word lucky, but I mean, it is a combination of a lot of experience and work that put into getting that luck. What is it?
Yeah.
The old saying is luck is repetition. Sort of, if you do something enough times, you're going to have some luck one way or another.
Absolutely. I mean, like, manifesting, I believe in manifesting. It's super hard, but it's not sitting on the couch hoping things happen. You have to work for it. And the more you work, the more you believe, the more you create your own luck, right?
Yeah. But it's not as again, not as hard as people think. Just like I say, guitar playing is not as hard as people think. That's why I put together my System 12 guitar method because I kind of built a foundation where it's easy to understand. I think achieving goals is just doing one thing every single day to
Yeah.
further that goal. If you can do more, great. It'll get you there even faster. But if you can just keep that uh that persistence and that habit of doing one thing towards the goal that you want to achieve, the world's going to come and meet you halfway.
I agree. I mentioned that I played, semi-pro baseball. I've spent my
Yep.
life in and around fitness. I did, bodybuilding when I was in university, but it was always kind of off and on. So now that I'm 45, approaching 46, I went into this year saying, I'm going to try a different approach for the first time ever, where I'm going to still do something, but I'm gonna do way less, but just be super consistent. So all I'm doing every day is I'm walking the dog for 20 to 30 minutes. Not this doesn't include, like, running around with my kids and hikes and stuff, but all I do is walk the dog and I do 100 push-ups and 100 sit-ups. That's it. So by my calculations, by the end of the year, I'm at about 36,000 push-ups. I just passed about 3,600 so far. And it's crazy because it doesn't seem like a lot, but I feel such a difference in a month.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I
yeah.
agree
Oh,
with you.
those push-ups
Consistent.
and sit-ups will definitely definitely shape you. I have an elliptical machine here at the house, so
Okay.
I that's sort of my cardio, trying to stay a bit in fit every single day, and then I kind of zone out a little bit and go down some YouTube rabbit holes here and there while I'm doing it. But I do agree that something hardcore like 100 sit-ups or 100 push-ups would be beneficial. I mean, hell, I'm actually looking a little bit worn out today because I did a weekly Pilates class with my wife. I've done it the last couple of weeks. I don't know if I'll be able to do it when I'm on the road, but I mean, even just one Pilates class, one hour Pilates class a week, that'll kick your ass, and
Yeah.
you'll feel it. You will definitely feel it. So I do kind of subscribe to the belief that physical activity and physical exercise is so important to not just a good mental state, but a good
Mhm.
productive state as well.
Yeah. Yeah, and I agree with you. It's about consistency, it's about showing up, it's about habit. Let me ask you something. So
As I
you
drink a beer here on a Friday
That's okay.
night.
That's okay. That's one of my questions coming up. You mentioned Alice and, him being such an amazing front man and then and playing with him, playing alongside him. What's it like for you being behind such a big front man, but then also stepping out in your own projects as a front man? Is there any conflict? Is it strange, or how does it feel?
Well, the coolest thing is that Alice has always championed our projects that we've done and our music that we've done when we're not touring and, even when we're on stage. He is the one that is really hoping that we get into the spotlight. When it's your turn to solo, he goes always front and center and make people, recognize you. So we have like a really cool role model to look at being on stage with Alice. So when we go to our own projects or our own bands, we can step into that more front man or front person role. And we know a lot of the lessons and a lot of the tricks, if you will, of how to conduct yourself on stage, off stage, and just how to be a leader because we've had one for so many years, or we've worked with one for so many years. So I always give Alice a lot of credit, and I give his ego a lot of credit because he's so secure with his own legacy that he wants the others to shine, and that's truly a mark of someone that's a you know, there's rock stars and then there's superstars, and I would
Yeah.
put him in that level because you can walk into a room and he will make you feel like the most important person in the room, even though he's the most iconic person in the room.
Yeah.
Whoever he's talking to, he will make them feel that way. So, try you just gotta sit and observe the way the people that you really admire act, and hopefully some of that rubs off on yourself, and you can hopefully be an influence one day for other people.
Yeah, that's amazing to hear. So it sounds like it's an easy transition for you. You actually gave me an aha moment just now. I remember a few years back, I was watching a clip. I think it was a Navy SEAL, former Navy SEAL who does motivational speaking now. And
Yep.
he was sharing how good leadership is that it's always your fault in the sense that if something goes wrong, so one of his like troops, something happens, when that person is being reprimanded or talked to about it, he's the one that steps in and says, "This is my bad. I should have done a better job of managing my team and whatnot." And I think that that's the hallmark of good leadership, a good CEO. And it never occurred to me that it's the same thing with the front man of a band. Like you might be the face, but your job is to not want to be the face and be egotistical about it, is to make sure your whole team is taken care of and that you guys are working well as a unit.
No, well, I mean, at the end of the day, we all know whose name is on the marquee, and I think that's why this band has been together for as many years as it has, because we all know that we're supporting and hopefully having a very positive influence on a rock and roll legacy.
Yeah.
And so the fact that we all know whose name is on the marquee, and yet that name wants us to shine in the spotlight whenever it's our turn to shine, it's the best of both worlds in that case.
Yeah. I mean, ultimately, I'm sure he also knows that as much as it's his name on the marquee, he needs the best and the brightest around him in order to be there, right? So you're just as valuable to the operation as anyone else.
I think this band definitely contributes, like 100% to the way we rock as a unit, as to
Yeah.
borrow a quote from my friends in Seattle. We a band called Sweetwater. Give them a big shout out because they're a
Oh,
great
yeah, I
band.
know Sweetwater, yeah.
But yeah, but well, if you're from Vancouver, yeah, and you're just a little bit south, and you got Sweetwater. I was actually in that band in the '90s, so that's
No way.
something that again something that I don't ever really speak of, mostly in interviews because we're talking about a lot of stuff with Alice or Slash or Gilby and then my own stuff. But yeah, I played for a while in the band Sweetwater. They made a great album called Super Friends, but a lot of their phrases that totally rubbed off on me. Lady
Mm,
Rock, I always will sign things Lady Rock. They came up with that. May Lady Rock shine down upon you. Rock as a unit was another one of their famous catchphrases that I still use and I think is very apropos for this Alice Cooper lineup because we do rock as a unit.
absolutely. So we're kind of going all over. I like to usually start at the beginning and then go back through the history, but you're
Sure.
doing such a good job of setting up some of my questions. So your latest single dropped. Speaking of expressions and sayings, "Fight Another Day," January 16th. Um, Not only is the song title my part of my question, but also, there was a line, I guess 2 things that you have lived and practice. One was practice, persistence, patience, and
Yep.
then, enjoy the ride. And enjoy the ride comes up in that song, right? So, like, why don't you tell me a little bit about the single and really the meaning behind it? Like, because you clearly are living these things.
Yeah. Fight Another Day is just about having that persistence. And I have a cat right now that wants to become part of the interview. So if you hear her
That's
meowing
okay.
right now, that's okay.
That's
Panda
family, it's
always
all
wants
good.
to be Panda always wants to become part of the podcast. But the persistence that I talk about in Fight Another Day, it's basically I have a thing called 3 Ps: practice, persistence, and patience, and I'm a firm believer in that. And it's a long sort of description of what fighting another day means, but a lot of that has to do with like, you practice your craft. If you want to do anything in life, you have to be good at it. Then the persistence, that's where, you know, you really have to know that not every day is going to be great. There's gonna
Yeah.
be some days that are very challenging, but you have to have that persistence to kick that door open and down again. And then the third P is, patience. Practice, persistence, and patience. And patience is falls right into the song title, "Fight Another Day," because you have to learn sometimes that, "Look, man, as long as I put the work in and I keep on having this persistence, my shot is going to come." And basically, that's how that fi practice, persistence, patience became a little bit, infused with Fight Another Day. But my sort of mantra that I've been saying for years, and I've been signing things for years, is if I could, uh, give just 3 words of advice to anybody that's growing up and wanting to make it in any sort of business, especially if you wanna make it in the rock and roll business, you gotta enjoy the ride. You gotta enjoy the process of doing it, even though it can get frustrating at times, but enjoy those empty bars. Enjoy
Yeah.
those very freezing, van tours that when you're going across on driving your van on black ice and you're doing 360s down Highway 60. Well, these are all true things that have happened to us. You have to, because that whole evolution, that's the whole point. I mean, everyone talks about the journey and this and that, but it's that whole thing of going from just picking up a guitar in your room saying, "I want to do this for a living," to being able to play the Los Angeles Forum some
Mhm.
50 years later is something that you have to appreciate and enjoy, um, the whole process, even the bad times.
Yeah. I mean, it's such an easy concept, but it's so hard to learn. I had to go through divorces and being a father and changing careers and all these things to really start to get more into flow and letting it go and enjoying the ride, to use your terms. You're born Ryan Rosowitz, like half Polish, I believe,
Half
and
Polish and half Polish, half Mexican. There you go.
so so how and when did you in your life start to truly embody enjoy the ride? Was it something you were born into? Your parents raised you that way, or did you have a special moment?
It would I sort of had probably the epiphany moment of enjoying the ride and really taking it back somewhere along the road the time, because 'cause I'm divorced like you, and then I'm remarried now,
Mm,
but between my divorce and between, meeting, my current wife, Bianca, we there was a point there where I just took a step back, and I said, "Look, I've been putting so much stress into making it, into doing it, into, like, I haven't even thought about all the really, like, incredible experiences I've had along the ride." So you should
yeah,
and I started actually appreciating all those experiences, which made the whole stress level of like, "Oh, I have to do this," go down, and so now I could just work on one thing at a time, knowing that it's towards a goal, and I could appreciate and enjoy that. Um, so that's actually where I started really taking life and being a little bit, lowering the importance. I say that a lot as well. Um, there's there's something that I don't know if a lot of people have know about it. Very few that I know. It was actually a Russian philosopher that came up with this concept of reality transurfing. I know it sounds a lot like, you know, hippie yippie, fantastical
yeah,
stuff, but it actually has a lot of great concepts in it. And it, whether it's the secret, the power of,
yeah,
attraction, the law of attraction, or whether it's, just enjoying being in the moment, um, I was able to harness a lot of that, and then quite literally right after I started practicing that lowering the importance and taking a step back, that's when I got the call to come back with Alice to play, and because the world had met me halfway. I knew I wanted to go back out and start touring again on a big level. I didn't know how it was gonna happen. I didn't know what band it was gonna be with. I was hoping it was gonna be Alice, but you never know, you know?
mm,
So, I got the call, and ever since then, it's been, 1 year after another of a first, some like I said earlier, some sort of checklist thing that I can check off and go, "Wow, I always wanted to play with that band," or, "Hey, I always wanted to play that venue," or, "Hey, I always wanted to, meet these people." So, there you go. I was able to, that's basically how and when I started enjoying the ride.
that's awesome. It's similar to me. I had a big life change a few years ago with the separation, and I had to, for the first time, really look at myself and ask myself, what are you gonna do? I was, man, how old was I at the time? Like 41, 42, and I ended up on a trip with a buddy, a good friend from Toronto who moved out here. Him and I have known each other since university. I'm a huge, Tupac and Kurt Cobain fan. That was a large part of my childhood, and so being here, was my birthday. I said, "Let's drive to Seattle. Let's go and have fun." We've already been there. We know it around, I like the note, but I had never been to Kurt Cobain's former house, so we were at the parquet outside of the house, and I just got this, like, feeling all of a sudden that I was at the exact midway point of my life, and I don't know
Wow.
why, but I started to say to myself, "What do you want the second half to look like?" And that was for me this huge change of throwing out all the negative, going deeper and deeper into therapy, releasing my past, and much like you saying like, "I'm just gonna be grateful. I'm just gonna be happy for everything that's happening, good, bad, or ugly." And as soon as I changed my mindset, everything just became lighter and easier, like there's no
Yeah.
stress. Something bad happens and it's like, "Okay, it's just the thing. It'll work out. It always does."
Well, yeah, don't get me wrong, I'm not grateful when bad shit happens at all. I just try to I just lower the importance a little bit of it and take it and always try to here's another sort of thing I've learned along the way. I try to outslow the problem. So
That's cool.
so if you can outslow something, whether it's a person that you're arguing with, and you actually put some thought into what you're going to say and personal instead of knee-jerk reactions, and I trust me, knee-jerk reactions, I still do it today. I can, my wife will tell you I probably have a knee-jerk reaction this afternoon with the swimming pool or something like that. But, you know, if I on the big things, if I can sort of take a step back, not have a knee-jerk reaction, outslow the problem,
Mhm.
then everything becomes a bit more clear. So, yeah.
Agree.
I
I
can't believe
agree.
I'm giving you all my life advice. I feel, I'm the rock and roll Yoda today, I feel.
That's okay. That's what this is about. I was chatting with this awesome drummer who's he's also doing he's got a book, he's a motivational speaker, Frank Zumo. Um, him and I were chatting, I don't know, 25, 30 chats ago, and we had this moment where I said like, "Oh man, like isn't it crazy how this word rock star that we throw around, that we've thrown out for decades, fundamentally is composed of the rock and the star." And I said, theoretically, you, Ryan, Roxy, and everyone else out there that is an actual rock star, you have to have the solidest of base. You have to have a rock solid base in order to shine bright like a star. How much do you feel that there's maybe truth to that, that you can only ascend higher and higher by being more and more grounded?
Wow. Um, no, it's a good term. I never really thought about the whole rock star if you break it down, but aren't all stars made of rock at one point? They're like kind of a flaming rock as well. So it's all one being was what I'm saying. It's like in how you
Yeah.
shine brightly. And I guess the key for me is to the longevity factor because I had
Mm,
many friends that didn't. They burned out too quick. The star, this, and they had big star like qualities. They were rocks, they were stars, they were amazing, talented people, but they burned out too quickly. So what I've learned is uh a lot through playing with Al is the pitfalls that you can get into, and everybody has them. Everybody's got their something. But try to moderate it. Try to take your whatever problems that you have deep inside. Try to sort of bring them out at one point and deal with them instead of pushing them
mhm.
down. That's definitely a thing for longevity because pushing shit down and stressing about shit that you have no control of, that's going to definitely shorten your fuse of being a star or just being on
Yeah.
this planet. So I guess I try to do things a little bit more with some moderation, a little bit of sense, common sense. I mean, God, it just seems like it's so funny that we coined this phrase rock star that, and that's sort of a thing that people aspire like, oh, you're living like a rock star. But yeah, back in the day when, Alice Cooper in the 70s, rock stars were just not, it was nothing but turmoil with no money and no real future, and it was like it was so much chaos. So
Mm,
now that's sort of the of what you aspire to have, but I think what it is a little bit of the attitude of you know, at least the perception is if you're a true rock and roll star, it doesn't mean what you doesn't mean that you even have to play music. If you're a rock
mhm,
star at what you do, it's you're doing what you love and what you were put on this planet to do. So that to me is the definition of a rock star. It's not just getting on stage and playing with, in front of a bunch of people. It's
mhm.
choosing what you love to do and having that choice that you've made become reality and make you and notoriety for it.
Mhm.
People respect what you do because they know you love doing it.
Yeah, that's sharp. I agree with you. It's funny you mentioned how, like, it's almost like the definition of rock star has changed over the last 30, 40 years, right? Where it was this sex, drugs, and rock and
It
roll,
used to
lots
be
of groupies.
decadent. Yeah, it was decadent.
Yeah. Well, so
I'm sure I'm sure in some club tonight or some sort of tour on some, different generational thing, there is some old school rock and roll rock star debauchery going on. Probably.
absolutely, and I think
Yeah.
there's a time and there's a time and place for everything, but you mentioned I think you hit the nail on the head when you said it's about longevity. right? So that, like, to my point about shining the brightest, one could say that shining the brightest is like having the longest run, like getting the most out of it. But you have to put in a lot of work to get the run. Like you got to really take care of the car to get 250,000 miles out of it. Um, some of your friends didn't do that. And was it because they weren't taking care of themselves, mentally or physically?
Yeah. Yeah, both, all of the above, mentally, it can the stress and all that can get to you. Physically, the
Hmm.
lifestyle can get to you. So, if you can, again, use use your mental common sense and say, "Okay, this practice will," you know, you can dip your toe into a bunch of different swimming pools, but you can't always, you know, you can't do it every single day, every single minute to and because
Yeah,
at one point that pool will be infested with sharks. And unfortunately, in the
absolutely.
world of rock and roll, there's a lot of pools infested with sharks.
Definitely. Do you think that becoming a father helped you with the grounding and with the gratitude? Maybe slowing down?
Um, it would a bit it depend on who you would ask. I think some my ex might not agree with that. Um, I think that yeah, it definitely makes you think a bit more about the longevity of like, okay, but it also makes you want to become more of a mentor, not, for them. You want to lead by example. So you do your best while still doing what you love to
Mhm.
provide an example of like, hey, this is possible. I'm living proof this is possible that you can do what you want for a living. So as long as if I can get that lesson across to both my son and my daughter where they end up doing in life exactly what it is they dream about and want to do, then I will feel I've contributed, you know,
Yeah.
definitely y- y- being, my lifestyle is being on the road for as many years as I was. The longest time I spent with them was when I wasn't on the road in those years and they were just, very young to up to like, 7, 8 years old when they were just starting to really grasp memories and stuff.
Mhm.
So my memories is watching them grow up. Their memories is dad's always gone half the year on tour. So hopefully me not being there, the example that I prove of living the life that I've been able to have will and if it actually gets them to and motivates them to live their own dreams out, then I feel that then I will have done something pretty good as a father. But yeah,
Yeah.
look, man, whenever you have a job that takes you away for almost half the year, there's always going to be some family guilt that you hold
Mhm.
in yourself. And again, holding guilt is not healthy for anybody. So I've really tried to let that go. And that might
Yeah.
confuse some people, but it is something that, no, it's really hard to hold on to because it's not healthy for you.
I totally agree. We're on the same page, and we share that in common. I'm not touring the world, but I'm doing everything I can in my power to be successful with my endeavors, and so that requires me to put in a lot of hours. Sometime the one thing that really learned and took to heart over the last few years was just pure presence. So now I only see my kids half the time because my ex and I share custody. So I've
Yeah.
already been, reduced in terms of how much I see them. Then I'm also working. But when they come through that door, I know that I have to flip that switch in my mind and tune into their channel and just be ultimately present. And that's what they appreciate. They're not going to worry about the times that I'm gone per se. They're going to know that whenever I'm with dad, he's just giving me the undivided attention. It sounds like you have the same mantra with your stuff.
I try, but you're not always gonna get it right, and there's gonna be some times
That's
that you
true.
think there's gonna be some times that you think, "Hey, well," what are you talking about? I'm present. We went here on this trip." And it's like, "No,
Mm,
maybe that's not what the thing is." That the thing is really listening to them when you have the time to. Because at one point, and I'm experiencing that now, is that, um, once they're out of the nest and they're fine, they have their own lives, then it's not as necessary to talk to pop every single day. But,
yeah,
you know, but hopefully the lessons that I was able, or sort of the influence that I was able to have, is going to guide the kids, up with their future dreams and stuff like that. But you're not
yeah.
always going to get it right. You think you're going to be right sometimes, but being a parent, God, if it was that easy, there wouldn't be all these books and movies about it. And trust me, it seems like there's less and less. It seems like it's less and less parents these days. There's just people choosing not to have kids, and
Yeah,
that's something that will obviously, not in my generation, but in future generations, will probably be talked about and probably be of some concern.
I agree. It's funny because I have 3 of my own and 2 my partner has 2, so we have a
Oh,
house full
yeah.
of kids, and, like, I can't see it any other way. I think that having kids was the greatest thing I ever did. Um, I'm going somewhere with this next point. So I have already talked about this. I had a child with my partner last year who lived for a week, and then on Father's
Mhm.
Day, she passed away. It was the hardest thing that I've ever done in my life, but
Sorry to
I
hear that,
talk
man.
about it.
Sorry.
That's okay. I talk about it because I wanna normalize the fact that bad shit happens, and it's okay to be upset, and it's okay to talk about it, and that is healing. That also really changed my focus even more on, to let it go, to enjoy life, because you never know when things are gonna happen. I found we called her middle name was Monarch, and I found this photo album that had a monarch on it, and then below it, it says something like, "Life's not counted by the number of breaths you take, but by the number of moments you create for other people." And it was so profound, and then I read your bio, and it said, "Roxy's passion is passing the torch on to the next generation." I feel
Yeah.
like there's so many similarities to our ethos. Tell me a little bit about that feeling. Like, where does it come from? Why do you feel so compelled to do good, do right, live long, and pass it on?
Because I think, for the most part, we people are good. I wanna always be that optimist where and the only way that this whole game continues is if that people become kinder and are still, again, doing what they love to do.
Mhm.
Now, the argument is, someone's gonna tell me, "Well, there's people that like to kill people, and they get joy out of that." Okay, yeah, but I'm talking about an overall sort
Yeah,
of, I'd say the majority of people are good people. And if they're doing what they're put on this world to do, then it's a better world, obviously.
yeah,
I was I'm one of the lucky ones that was am able to do exactly what they wanted to do from a very, very young age. I wanted to be those posters on my wall. I've been able
mm,
to, you know, play music and tour for so many years. So now all my motivation is to inspire the younger generation to have to put the work in and become whatever they want to become, that they have passion for. And like I said, it's just knowing that I've been able to do it and knowing that it's true. I drank the Kool-Aid. I was able to succeed in it. I know there's 1,000 stories of not succeeding, but I'm gonna, whatever my story, and it doesn't mean that I in myself think I have complete success yet. There's still so many things I want to do and continue to do,
yeah,
and set goals for. But I know that with this playing on stage and being able to play music for a living and, file your taxes as a musician, that I'm able to I've done that and I'm doing that. So why not inspire as many people to, if they want to do music, even better, because it's right in my wheelhouse. But whatever it is, the inspiration to get them to do what they love to do. So, like I said, it's just me having enough I guess, knowledge to know that I'm lucky, but
Mhm.
I'm also driven, and I'm also very patient because I've been in this game for a long, long time. And if someone like me who's been in this game for as long as I've been and still isn't, doesn't think of themselves as a huge success, but some up on some level that needs to go up, then I think the future is positive, and it's definitely possible to do
Yeah.
even more.
I love that. It sounds like the 3 Ps are really working for you.
Well, it was I want to remember her name that told me, because Alice Cooper has a way of putting it, in the same sort of things. He might use different words, but he has a way of saying it. So it's easier to say, okay, Alice Cooper has been able to tell me these things. But I remember it very vividly. It's just that I don't remember her name. Who was it? Was a woman that worked at sort of, I believe she worked for BMI. And
Okay.
like one of the royalty selection. It was in Nashville. I had lunch with her, and she was friends with one of my buddies that was a guitar tech for the band Guns N' Roses. So we went out to lunch, and we just started a great conversation about the music business and where I was at that point. And that's when she
Mhm.
said, "You know what? The 3 Ps I think would really help you out." And that's
Wow.
how and that's truly the story. The only reason I don't the only reason I don't always credit her is because I can't remember her name right now. It's almost like um, like one of those things that happened. Did it really happen? Was it a dream? Did that lunch really even exist? So,
Yeah.
yeah, could have been
I mean, that
Helen.
that's
Damn it.
that's part of the beauty of it, right? Like, we sometimes unintentionally pass information on to the next generation through these experiences, through these stories, which is why it's so important to converse, and which is why I think now more than ever, these podcasts and long form conversations are so important because tribally, as a society, we used to just constantly have these campfires and talk about stuff and pass the lessons on more and more, and it's not happening as much now, but it is like this. This
It
allows us
is
to
like this, and
memorialize.
it might be more individual, that you're reaching somebody, but you know what? One person at a time, and you can reach a whole lot of individual people that can go on and sort of spread the word in their circle as well.
Yeah. Y You grew up in a really musical home. I think that you actually started playing guitar after drums and some other stuff.
Yeah.
What was the point in your life where you said, "I wanna do this, and there's no other thing that I'm gonna do?"
Well, I picked up guitar when I was 5 because there was like, I have a few guitars in the back right now of the room, but
Yeah,
it was literally like that. There was a guitar that didn't look that much different than that one right there, that 335. It wasn't a 335 though. It was some sort of Sears special, but it was just laying on the couch, and I would pick it up and I'd strum it. And so then I went to guitar lessons and learned a couple things, learned my chords, and I learned, I might not have learned it the right way, but I was into music, and my parents could tell, could tell that I was really into playing guitar. Um, then somewhere around 11, and I don't know, I mean, if you just do the math, that's
mhm,
like 1976. All right. I was born in 65, so that would be
yeah,
76, somewhere around there. Right. And I want to say maybe 76, 1977, right around there. All the bands that were coming out with music had one of their best, they either recorded their best music in 76 and released it in 77 or put out their best music in 1977. Right around
Yeah.
that time, that's when I told myself, "You know what?" Because it was undeniable how much great music was coming out. I said, "I have to do this for a living." So that's exactly when it happened, and that's why to this day I sign, things Roxy 77 because without even
Mm,
really knowing it, it's not the original reason and the original motivation for signing Roxy 77, that's a different story, but I think about it now and 77 was such an influential year, so that must have been the year that I, decided to take it really serious.
cool. How did Rossowitz become Roxy?
Um, I just c I because I knew that, all the album covers that I were looking at, and especially at that time, I collected a lot of 45s. My name would never fit on on just a small sticker of a 45 RPM. So I had to shorten it somehow. Um, I guess, the Polish part of me says, "Okay, if you go down to the traditional, pronunciation is Roksevich, right? Ryan Roksevich.
Mm,
But it's you know, I just kind of abbreviated it. For many years, it was ROXY until I moved down to Los Angeles. Then I moved down to Los Angeles, and there was a club right next to the Rainbow Bar and Grill called the
yeah,
Roxy,
yeah.
ROXY. I said, "Well, I gotta change that." Quickly became ROXIE, and then therefore, I've been ROXIE ever since.
I have 2 last questions, one serious, one not serious.
Sure.
Uh, you mentioned something earlier that I find so fascinating because I am in that part of my life now where you said, "I aspire to so much and I'm still going," which is a trip because there's so many people given your background with everyone you've performed with and Slash's Snake Pit and, man, yeah, all of it.
Right.
People, their minds are blown thinking about how much you've done, and yet you're sitting there at a point saying, "Man, I haven't done anything, I gotta keep going." What's it
Oh,
like being, so far up the mountain, but thinking that you still have so much to go?
um, it's relative.
Mm,
Everything's relative. I mean, I just look at I can guarantee you that there's still things that Tom Brady wants to do. And it seems like he's done it all with, now he's got he owns part of my favorite football team, and he also, he's going to be announcing the Super Bowl or whatever, or maybe he's not doing it this year, but you know, it's all relative. Even Alice has why does Alice keep putting out albums? He doesn't need to put out albums. He's got a great catalog for as long as, live off that catalog forever and ever. But he really does get inspired, loves music. He loves to
mm,
listen to music. So I just look at, it's all relative. There might be someone that's less experienced than me that's working their way up and they're fighting hard and they're making big strides very quickly. It might be someone like Alice Cooper who's got my experience, definitely more experience than myself, but it's inspirational because I see him still working. So you're always somewhere in the middle, no matter what, you're always somewhere in the middle of where you want to be. But here's the little difference, the only difference I say. From time to time, take a step back and celebrate the win.
mm,
Celebrate the fact of the accomplishments and sit back and enjoy it. Don't don't let it, stop your progress of moving forward and setting goals for yourself, but definitely celebrate the win from time to time. I was, for this last year, for me, the win and celebrating it and a big moment for me was actually playing the Los Angeles Forum because I had never played that of all the years of playing music and all the venues that we've been able to play. I had never played the Los Angeles Forum, and when I first moved down to Los Angeles, one of the first concerts I went to, in 1984 was at the Los Angeles Forum, and it was an artist named Prince, and the tour was Purple Rain. So I went to go see
Wow.
Prince and Revolution at the Los Angeles Forum in 1984 on the Purple Rain tour. Ever since that show, I was like, someday I'll play the Forum. Someday I'm going to play the Forum. It didn't happen till I was 59 years old. So, you know, that's that patience. That's that patience thing. I waited and I finally got it and I celebrated the win. But guess what? Now I'm looking forward to this next year's tour where we go to Vegas and we do this Chris Angel and Alice Cooper show that's combining the illusions and rock and roll together. So looking forward to that too. And hopefully looking forward to seeing, anyone that's listening out here at a Alice Cooper show, or maybe even a Ryan Roxie solo show, because that's actually in the works as well. If there's some breaks this year that we can work at some Roxy solo shows, definitely I'm down for it. So the best way to find out about any of that information and the new music and all that stuff is just ryanroxy.com.
Absolutely, and I'll link all that stuff in the chat too.
Appreciate you.
Last
Thank you.
question last question before I hand it over to you to wrap us up. So, the when I got the yes, this chat's happening, the first thing I did was went to Instagram, and for some reason, the first video was you with a huge smile, and you're at an airport, and you're killing time, and you've got a drink, and there was, like, a huge bar behind you, and I said, "I wonder what his go-to is." At the end of the day, when you're celebrating that win, is it a whiskey? Is it a sangria? What's your favorite
It's
go-to?
been changing. It's been changing year by year. I still, if at a show, at a rock show, you want lean, mean, fighting machine sort of drink, and that it's almost as good as water. I mean, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people that don't agree, but but I feel that vodka and soda with lemon in it is like vodka, soda water, or seltzer water if you can find it, and a big, big, big squeeze of lemon is a great, great sort of energy drink.
Alright.
But to really celebrate the win, it depends. If I'm with my wife, it's a nice red blend because we live in Cape Town and there's a lot of amazing red wines, and so I would probably take a glass of Babel red blend. And if it's just me with the boys and in the band, and we're just chilling at the hotel bar or whatever, I'd probably take an old fashioned. I'm a bourbon guy as well. So, well, and then look, there's always margaritas. I trust me, I'm the wrong guy to talk to about what your favorite go-to is, because apparently I go to a lot of them. Right now, I'm enjoying a nice Cape Town, South Africa-based IPA beer, which I don't usually drink Indian Pale Ales, but if I am going to have a beer, it's probably going to be an IPA.
So similar to life, it's about timing, it's about the vibe, it's about going with the flow, it's, enjoying the ride.
Oh, perfect. See, I got someone else saying it. If I can get as many people to say enjoy the ride, and then, I'm sure whoever coined the phrase is, long gone by now at this point, but somehow I don't know where I heard it. I don't know why. I mean, it sounds like a cliche, but it just
Yeah.
sticks for me, and it means a lot for me. Honestly, I do try to enjoy the ride each and every single day.
We need those reminders. I mean, cliches exist for a reason. You can't see it, but I'm covered in little tattoos and sayings and expressions, and halfway through this chat, I was already thinking like, "Oh, enjoy the ride. That's my next one. I'm doing that." So, I'll take
Wait,
it
are
on.
you saying that you have the ones that make you look like an envelope, a stamped
No,
envelope?
not quite, just like
Okay.
little ones,
No, those are
all
bigger
over.
ones. I'm talking about all the model girls now. They all look like,
Oh, no, no, no.
glorified, beautiful envelopes that have gone through me I call it the passport, stamp photo tattoo, because or the passport stamp tattoo, because there's just like they have tons of little ones that are, like, stamped all over the place, and it doesn't make any rhyme or reason, and I'm, like, going, "Okay, well, it's not a sleeve piece,
Yeah.
and I guess, look, you're looking at someone that doesn't have a single tattoo, so
Oh,
I
no?
I I'm a tattoo, and I love tattoos. I just don't I don't see the reason for me having a.
Totally fair.
And it's what's crazier, it's now the anomaly. Now I'm the one that's like sort of like because when tattoos first came out, it seemed like, oh man, that's crazy. That's he's got a tattoo. Yeah, rock. I mean, remember Guns N' Roses first came out and they had like really like a lot of tattoos on the shoulder. It was like, whoa, that's wild, man, cool. And then everyone rushed out and got them. I never
Yeah.
did, and now me and one other guy are the only two that I know in rock and roll that don't have tattoos.
It's
Me
funny
and
how
Alice
in our
Cooper,
lifetime Alice doesn't either?
zero tattoos.
It's funny how in our lifetime it did a 180, right? Like, it became so trendy, and now it's almost like everyone gets them, it's a rite of passage. Credit to my ex, at one point, she said, "It's like putting a bumper sticker on a Bentley. I'm never gonna get one." And I think that my grandmother always said, "Chacun a son goût." Everyone has their taste, so who cares? You do you at the end of the day.
Well, when did it switch? But it made a jump. The tattoo thing definitely made a jump to sports because now if you're a
Yeah,
ball player and you don't have a sleeve tattoo on at least one of your arms, it almost it looks like weight. Or basketball, baseball, football, especially,
yeah.
but it's like it seems like it is the anomaly not to have tattoos in sports as well. Where not that long ago, you didn't see that many that much happening. And I'm just talking about your field. So to keep it to
Yeah, yeah,
baseball,
yeah.
you know?
It You know what? If I think about it, I almost feel like it was the late '90s, early 2000s, and it was culturally with the music and stuff that all of a sudden people started to get, the tribal tattoos or the bands, and then a celebrity would get one, and it started to normalize a little bit more. And then it was I don't know, was it the 2010s or the 2000s, at the end of the 2000s, and all of a sudden Miami Ink and all those shows blew up, and Kat
Mhm.
Von D was popular, and not to say that she's not now, but, like, that culture blew up around that time, and now there's, like, festivals, right, and incarceration and all these festivals that are music and tattoos. It's ubiquitous with the lifestyle and the culture.
Right. The thing is for me, I like to wear a lot of different hats, glasses, and shirts. So the idea of wearing just one
Mm,
it's kind of like in a book. If I did, okay, I like it today, but I like it tomorrow, and I know it goes against the whole tattoo um, mantra of like, oh, you get it for a reason because it's there for you for life.
yeah.
Well, I haven't, you know, I like too many different things to just like have the same one. Like if I could get one where I could just it could change into something different every single, month if I could and without, having to do a cover piece and do another cover piece because I guess that is truly the joy of a tattoo too is because you see it, you like it, but then you want another one because you like something else.
Mhm.
So it's almost it would be like me wearing 20 different types of shirts,
Yeah,
because
yeah, yeah.
and
Well,
then I have to wear them all.
so for me, this one, I get the Japanese Enzo here. The concept is really about the perfection is the imperfection. So I think the whole point of the tattoo is that you do it, it's part of your story, it's enjoying the ride, and who cares if it sucks or not. My only rule was always get tattoos in places so that if you wore a tux, no one knew that you have tattoos. So you can be mysterious, then hit the pool and be like, "Oh my God, there's
It
tattoos."
does seem like "Enjoy the Ride" would be the most logical tattoo for me to get somewhere. I don't know if I'm gonna get like a prison, gang tattoo of "Enjoy the Ride," but it does seem like if I do, m and it's always and I 'cause I've never said never. I never said, "No, I'll never get a tattoo." No, I just haven't. It's just up until this point. So I'm 60 now. If I head into an old folks home at around 80 or around 77, let's say I go to an old folks home around 80, 77,
76?
maybe, yeah, somewhere between 76 and 77, right? But around that time. If I go there and then that's when I start getting tattoos. I get my first tattoo when I head to the retirement home, everyone in that retirement home is gonna go, "Where'd you get that fresh tattoo? How did you maintain those for all those years?" Say, "Hey, you know, enjoying the ride." Right there. That's what it reads.
I'm gonna hold you to it. We'll see what happens.
All right, I'll see
Uh,
you in about what, 17 years, 18 years? That
we're
is
good.
crazy to think that that's it. I'll be 77 in 17 years. That is wild. See, that's the scariest thing I think we've talked about the entire podcast.
Is time and age, and isn't it crazy how, like, you have kids and then somehow it seems to go by faster, the clouds move faster, time speeds up, you watch these things grow and you're like, "Man, how did I become almost 50?" It's just, "What?"
Yeah,
And then
well,
my parents are like, "You're still young, what are you talking about?"
yeah, because again, because it's all relative. You're always somewhere in the middle. There's always going to be someone older. There's always going to be someone younger.
What a
The only time that you're older than anybody that you're older than than anybody is, I guess, right when you come out, and the only
Yeah,
time you're the oldest is when you pass away because there's no one
right.
that's younger. But I don't know. This has gotten way too deep. I thought I'm just a rock and roll that wants to talk about his new single, "Fight Another Gay." Go check out the music. It's not that deep and philosophical, but it's been a good conversation. I appreciate it.
I appreciate you, I'm so grateful for our time, I hope that you have a fantastic weekend and tour with not just Alice, but your own stuff too.
Yeah.
Um, I always like to hand the mic over to my guest for the final word, and you have many. You've got many stories, and you've delivered so much, insight, but give me one last wrap up that everyone needs to know and live by.
Hmm. All right. One last final wrap up. Well, whatever you're doing today, take a step back. If you watch this and you made it till the end, um, do what I said earlier. Celebrate the win. Go have yourself. Maybe you've had a cocktail. Maybe you've had a glass of wine. You took Roxy's advice, and you're already celebrating the win. But take a step back. Take stock of what you've done and your accomplishments so far. What are the things that you have done that you truly wanted to do up until this point in your world? And now think about the things that you want to do in the future, and how are you lined up to make those become realities? How can you make those goals, those dreams become realities to something that you're, again, in 10 years, you're going to sit back and say, okay, I accomplished that. So now what's my next set? And if you can do that, that is literally the definition of imagining your reality. So I do have an album out called Imagine Your Reality, which is another sort of saying that I like to say. So do two things for me after: imagine your reality, and above all, enjoy the ride. Those are my two fortune cookie sayings of the day. So enjoy yourselves, guys.